feeling about your team kind of coming off that big sweep last weekend, just moving forward into this last weekend before you begin Big 12 play?
I was pleased with some things that we did last weekend, and I think we're on an upward trajectory right now, which is right where we want to be going into conference play. So I think we're in a pretty good spot, and another great opportunity this weekend to continue getting better and moving forward and getting prepared before we head into the Big 12.
Your pitching staff coming up with 2 shutouts last weekend. Can you just talk about kind of their depth and how they've progressed and maybe what you want to see more from them this weekend?
They're doing a good job, and I think we're balancing the workload pretty well right now. I thought, Morgan did a really nice job with that complete game. Missy and Aaron are consistently doing a good job. So I think it's just nice to, like I said, be able to balance the workload a little bit. And honestly, Cameron Caldwell, she's been doing a really nice job in practice and stuff. She's got a real gritty personality and mentality. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her a little bit more this weekend as well.
Coach, I'm curious, what have you learned about your team so far through the 20 games you didn't know before the season started? Maybe some players that have stood out that maybe have pleasantly surprised you, or just anything in general?
That's a good question. I mean, we didn't have much of a basis for anything before the season started. So it's not like we had a traditional fall and we're able to compete against outside competition. So everything this spring has been a learning curve with the team and with what we have on the roster. I don't know. I don't really know if anything necessarily has been surprising. I think I'm pleased with our overall depth, like 1 through 22, to be totally honest. At previous schools I've coached at, there's been a huge disparity between the top and the bottom, and that's not really the case here. Like, I'd feel very comfortable putting, any of our youth in, any of our returners in any given situation. So maybe I guess we can say that has been the most pleasant surprise coming into this spring and learning about our roster is we've got a lot of depth and a lot of athleticism.
Has that been an adjustment for you as a staff, having more options than maybe you've had in the past from that standpoint?
I think the biggest challenge with that is making sure you're balancing the experience you have and giving the experience the appropriate amount of playing time, as well as providing experience for the younger ones who are also earning it. We've had a few talks in the program in the last couple weeks where, I'm trying to be real open and honest with our veterans and saying there's going to be times where we're going to have our youth, into the lineup, because the reality is it's a COVID year. We don't know what's going to happen down the home stretch. And secondly, when you guys graduate and leave, we want to make sure that we're still in a spot where we're not missing a beat, where we're continuing to grow here. And we need game experience to do that. And so I think everyone's on the same page with that, and they understand that. And, I've heard some feedback from some of the older women on the team saying that they think that's a great idea, because we don't want to be down the home stretch and then have someone go down for COVID or injury and then just be in the hole. So I think they're pleased with that, and they're seeing it themselves that we've got a lot of depth here.
Playing the home games, have you gotten accustomed to playing up there? What's it been like? Because since I last spoke to you, you hadn't played a home game. What's it been like playing the home games there?
I think the biggest question mark every time we come and play at home is which direction the wind's going to blow, and that makes a big difference here. But I mean, if we can play here, we can play anywhere. So I think it's a asset, for our program. But elements can definitely change a game, but we just have to make sure that we're staying stubborn and controlling what we can control, and we're going to find a way to get it done. So I think that's been a good experience for us to battle through and work through together.
I didn't think about that from the elements changing, because obviously with California that the weather is pretty consistent. Has that been something you've had to adjust to, or do you even lean on some of the veteran players who have played here as far as for, hey, what's this kind of, what do we expect here?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. When I first got here, they were talking about how the wind is always crazy and how we've won games that way in the past, because it's super challenging, especially for, the opposing team's defense. to stay on balls that are hitting the air. So, I mean, it is definitely a home field advantage, but I think the biggest adjustment is we've been practicing in the mornings, and I don't really think it's an AM PM thing, but like today we were practicing and there was really no real wind. And so we're just hitting shots out left and right. But the past few home games we've had, the wind's been blowing in hard and the ball's been held up, and it changes the game, but we've got to learn to get it done no matter what.
David?
Yeah, Coach, apologize if I double up on some questions. First one, how's Riley doing?
She's good to go. She was full go at practice today, so we expect her to be good to go. I mean, we may limit her a little bit, but that'll be on us, not on what had happened with her hand or anything, but she's fully cleared, so we're good with that.
Good deal. And also, given the way you guys played, able to get the sweep, played defensively well. I mean, you got solid performances besides that first inning from everybody involved. How do you feel going into this weekend with basically 2 series here?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit at the end of practice today. And, we obviously have a great opportunity to continue moving in the right direction here. And we just reminded ourselves that the way to do that and the way to get the results we want is just winning pitches and going pitch by pitch and not letting the overall weekend get the best of us by thinking about 6 games. We just got to take it one pitch at a time and compete each pitch. And we feel good about our chances.
Know much about UTEP? I mean, it's kind of hard not to see, unfortunately, what they had to go up against, which you guys will face later this year as well. Do you watch a game like that against Oklahoma? Do you just try to, put that out of your mind, try not to do what OU did against them?
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about that. I mean, sometimes that just happens the first game of the year, no matter who you're playing, and that's the way it goes. I think for them, the thing that's going to be the most interesting is they've been out on pause for the past, 7-10 days, whatever it's supposed to be. So I think that's going to be the most interesting piece going up against them. I don't really know what they've been doing, if they've been able to practice or if they're going to be coming in cold. So it'll be interesting, and that can work for you or it can work against you, to be totally honest. So really trying not to get wrapped up in that, but it'll just be interesting. I know the coach there likes to, he's a gritty type of coach and he likes to have his players play in a certain way. And I don't know how a disruption like that affects him, but again, we can't control that. So we got to just do what we've got to do and get ourselves prepared and control the things that we can control.
I was wondering, obviously, with men's basketball in the NCAA tournaments, they get ready there to play in Indianapolis. Is that something you talk to your team about, as far as, hey, here's your fellow student athletes, participating in the tournament? We could be that, kind of feed off each other there from sport to sport.
I mean, we talk about that overall. We've got some successful teams here. I mean, our track and field team's super successful. Our baseball program is super successful, and our men's basketball program. And we talk about that and how we want to be in those same conversations. So it's definitely in the back of our minds as we continue to grow the program and move forward. And we talk a lot about not wanting to get there once, but being a consistent contender like those other programs. So I think we understand that we're building this thing to do that consistently.
Biggest thing you've learned from the city of Lubbock now that you've spent some time there?
Biggest thing I've learned about Lubbock. I love it here. I love that this is like a college city or town, whichever you want to call it, depending on who you ask. But I love the passion for the university within the town. Again, speaking of my former institution, like we could wear our logo like 2 minutes from the campus and people wouldn't recognize it. So it's nice to be in a place like this where everyone knows the Double T, everyone lives and dies by it. And that's pretty exciting.
You just live with that win that we had yesterday. It's
Yeah.
just part of the deal.
Yeah, I actually got my my second vaccine yesterday, and I was feeling like manure, and I took my 4-year-old to her Children's Center, and I was like, could barely see in front of me because the wind was just crazy. I mean, we live out in the country anyway, so the wind and the dirt and all that, the dust was just crazy. But I was like, it's kind of awesome though, to be honest, because then this morning I drive to work and it's just crystal clear and beautiful. So I'm like, I love it. I mean, keeping us on our toes.
That was that home run win that you need to right field yesterday.
Exactly. And we had one today. I mean, like I said, the wind wasn't blowing, but Connor, second baseman, she cleared the scoreboard today. And I was like, holy buckets, man. I mean, she's a freshman. That kid's got a lot of upside, but I was like, let's try to keep this win this way this weekend for us and see what we can do.